All righty, welcome in a Tuesday afternoon. It is the Chico Bormann Show right here on the Big Play Network. Good to have you along. You can, of course, follow us on Twitter, where we stream the show live daily, 1 until 3. To do that, at Chico Show CLE. Also, go to YouTube, and if you have not already, subscribe there, and by typing in the Chico Bormann Show. It's a common theme here. And you'll be all set to go. We've got plenty to talk about today. We will be talking some Browns. We've kind of strayed away. We had the draft, which was kind of, I mean, it was fun, but didn't have a pick until the third round. But we do have a lot of things to go over, not only with the draft class, but looking forward to, obviously this season. First week, they're going to spend a week in West Virginia, so they're going to get an extra week, obviously, with training camp and getting a look at a lot of these young guys. That's the one thing with this, with this young class, with this early start and them getting the extra game. I mean, they're going to play. You always see this in the Hall of Fame game. It's nothing but rookies. Now, that's preseason pretty much for the most part, but this game always is like, so you're going to see all of those many, many youngsters out there.
And Chico, I think in more cases than not, usually this is maybe one of the most boring preseason games ever, but
Yes.
when it's your team, I think there's a special interest. And for me, I love watching every second of preseason football when it's the Browns playing. I love seeing these guys, these no-names that we've never heard of, step up and make plays and impress the organization. And I think it's always such a cool thing to see some of these guys make the roster at the end of the day. But even in this case, like, you picked up a couple of undrafted free agent Buckeyes, which I personally, with my bias, as I rock my Ohio State jacket.
You don't have.
I'm looking forward to seeing those guys because they're going to get a lot of time. We're going to see Ronnie Hickman out there, Tanner McAllister. I'm excited.
Luke Whippler.
Yeah, baby.
DeJuan Jones.
Give it to me.
Of course, you start with the undrafted free agent.
Well, I think they're going to get a lot of time in the first preseason game of the season, the extra.
Nice grout fit, Chico. What does that mean?
That means a gray outfit.
Oh, is that? This is actually.
That doesn't look gray.
This is green.
It's pretty green to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the.
It's not easy being green.
The lighting.
Is there something? Am I missing something here?
Tell him to turn his brightness up.
Yeah, turn your. Good job, Boom. Turn your brightness up. This is like a lime green.
I rock grout fits all the time, though, so I am one of those people.
You know, without you, I wouldn't have known what a grout fit is. So that's what it is. No, I'm wearing gray jeans. Why?
You can't see the jeans.
I always forget that we have you know what I mean? It's something I'm not used to. Normally, you could show up in radio and I don't know, your bathing suit and a Life's a Beach tank top. Nobody knows any difference. But, yeah, well, thank you, Boda. You know what his handle is? Hugh, H-U-E, Janus 2. Hugh Janus 2. Thank you, Boda. It's a good way to start the show. Anyway, we bring him in here.
Love it. That's some Bart Simpson shit right there.
That's who we bring in here at the Chico Bormann Show, and we appreciate him a great deal. All right, I mentioned Browns. We will talk about them in the 2 o'clock hour. Brad Ward, he's a grinder. You got to grind, grind, grind. There's an inside joke there between me and Bone. But Brad Ward is a grinder. He's very, very much in the know when it comes to the Browns. We had him on, I would say, a few weeks ago. So we'll get his thoughts post-draft. And, of course, looking forward to next season and kind of seeing what he thinks and how this whole thing will play out. So he is, of course, the contributor with the OBR. That would be the Orange and Brown Report, host and producer of All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. And so we'll talk to him coming up at 2 o'clock. All right. We've got 216-626-7901. 216-626-7901. Also, on Twitter, my personal Twitter account, as Hugh Janus was able to find it, at Big Play Chico, letting me know about my grout fit. Yeah, you can do that. You can also text the show, or I should say tweet the show, at Chico Show, CLE. All right, last night was ugly. I don't know if you watched the Guardians game. I watched it. I cringed a little bit. It's kind of been that way for a little while now, but it's starting to get to that point, and I'm always that guy. Folks, I am always that guy who says, guys, it's early. It's May. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And that still holds true. It's May 9th. It didn't all of a sudden just get to July or August in the last couple of days. But that said, when you watch this Guardians team, I mean, it is a tough watch. It's offensively, they're terrible. There's no other way to describe it. So, and they had some opportunities last night. First inning, they get a run, but it's first and third, nobody out. They score the run. Jose Ramirez hits into a double play. Okay, you got the run home, but it feels like, first of all, you can't get runners on base. Then when you do get runners on base, you're expecting Jose, and this will come in time, I'm sure. I hope it better. But right now, those hits are not falling. And, this is getting, it's getting, I shouldn't say it's getting ugly. It's very ugly. It's borderline frugly. I won't say what that is, but.
Was that inspired by the grout fit?
Yes. Yeah, that's what we're going for.
We're combining words today. That's our shtick today.
That's all I've got. I mean, I think they knew that going in. Not a real, diversified guy. But yeah, it's getting frugly. Boom. These numbers, after losing 6-2 last night, and they've now dropped 3 of 4 to the Detroit Tigers. Now, as we said yesterday in talking to Anthony Kastrovitz, yes, it's early. Not only is it early, but you are playing in the American League Central, where currently, the Minnesota Twins are in first place by 3 games. The Guardians are 16-19. They are now a third-place team, by the way. They're a half game behind the Tigers. That's not good. Now, okay, it's nobody's awarding playoff berths and championship crowns or division crowns in May, but you got to get these bats going. I mean, this is just this. You've got to get these bats going. Normally, how this stuff happens is like maybe tonight. Shane Bieber's on the bump. Like, he's going to pitch well. Please don't have another one of these, he pitched well. He only gave up 1 run or 2 runs, but they only mustered 4 hits. You're facing Mike Lorenzen, for God's sakes, who has an ERA just shy of 6. You got to start stringing together hits. But normally how this thing goes is, like, let's say tonight, hypothetically, they'll pound out 17 hits. They'll score 12 runs, and at home, we're all going to say the same, whoa, bottle that, save it. We always say that, like you can actually do that. Put that away for a rainy day. Come on. We always do that. Whenever a team that is struggling offensively, and this just in, the Guardians are struggling mightily offensively, there's going to be, it seems like that's the process. That gets them going. Maybe they have another bad game, and then, okay, guys start to relax a little bit because if you pounded out 17 hits and you scored 12 runs or whatever it is, you look up and down the lineup, and this guy had 2 hits, and this guy had 3 hits, and this guy scored a couple runs, drove in 4. Okay, that's going to get them going. We haven't seen that really yet this year. But these numbers, Boom, I feel like do you have the capability? I know you're capable, but your capabilities can only go so far because I don't know. Do you have like for shows like Chicago PD, which you and I are big fans of, Hank Voight, let's go. Let's canvass the area. What are we doing? Atwater. I love Chicago PD. How to start the show, Boom really liked that. I didn't even think it was that good.
I want more Hank Voight. I'm here for the Hank Voight impression.
Terrible Hank Voight.
Atwater.
Sounds like he smokes like 4 packs of Marlboro Red a day. Like, damn, Hank. Anyway.
I was curious how that came to be.
What's that?
The raspiness.
Yeah. I actually saw him on an early, this is what we do, Bohm and I. I actually saw him on a real early edition back when Mariska Hargitay.
Oh. One of the crossover episodes with SVU?
No. We're talking way back. Short hair, younger. She's been on Law & Order SVU for, I think, 77 years. It's like one of the longest running stays on a drama series ever. Like, she's never
At least a quarter of a century.
But Hank Voight was one of the weirdos that they, prosecuted, whatever we won't get into details, but yeah, and I was like, it really freaked me out. After I started watching Chicago PD, I'm like, you were once a bad guy. And then I realized, well, it's years ago in the same series. But I feel like, real quick, we need to put 14 up on the screen or PG-13 or whatever they do to let you know, if you got youngsters in the room, you may want to shield them. This might be a scene from Porky's where they show, some cleavage or something, and you want to keep Junior away because it's bad. I mean, this is really bad. Up until they won the Minnesota series, and that was good. On Sunday, had a chance to go to the game, my first Guardians game of the year. And they won, but they won the series. That was the first time in 5 series that they won. Okay? They had lost 5 consecutive series. Bohm's still laughing about Hank Voight, by the way, just to let all of you know, because
it's true.
I feel like I have to tell you that because Bohm's not on camera right now. He is still laughing hysterically. Atwater, Burgess, let's go. Canvass the area. What are we doing? You ever notice that? He always acts like they don't know what they're doing. Like one time, I want one of the detectives to be like, Voight, we've been doing this now for 12 years. We know we have to canvass. What are you doing? Let's go. We get boots on the ground. Let's go.
Yeah, dude, I got it. Thanks.
Just knock him out. Have another Marlboro Red, Hank. All right. Anyway.
Stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
They had lost 5 consecutive series up until the Twin series. 3 runs or fewer in their last, going into yesterday, 7 of 8 games, now 8 of 9, I guess. They are last in the league in OPS, and that's on base percentage and slugging percentage. Last in OPS, 29th in batting average. For those of you keeping track at home, there are 30 Major League Baseball teams. Now, I'm not trying to make fun of them, but it is what it is. I mean, everybody knows, if anything, I get crushed. Well, all you do is carry the water for the dome. Are you on the payroll, Chico? You're always support. Yeah, I know. They just win every year, go to the playoffs. Terry Francona's done a great job, do a great job in a landscape that is not exactly friendly for smaller market clubs. But like I said, I can be objective when I need to be objective. This is the time to be objective. This stinks. They are bad. 3 runs or fewer in 7 of the last 8 games. They're last in OPS, 29th in batting average, 19th. They have 19 homers on the year. By the way, they also have 19 losses on the year. How many times do you see it? They have the same amount of losses as homers. 19 homers, which is also, yes, last in all of Major League Baseball. Not the Central, not the American League, all of Major League Baseball. 35 games they have played this year. They're 16-19. 14 have been started by a left-hander. Bohm, do you want to take a stab at how many wins they have out of those 14 games? Again, 14 of the 36 have been started by southpaws. Oh, you know I was a southpaw. Big. 14 started by a southpaw. How many wins do you think they have against lefties?
You expect me to give you a straight answer after you just lead into me like with the Rocky comment? Come on.
You got a big mouth,
It's single digits, right?
Oh, it's single digits. Yeah, it's single digits.
1.
4.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
1 out of... Come on, man. Give him a little bit of credit.
A single digit, I feel like that has to be 1.
So, 4 wins in 14 starts by a left-hander. So, and tonight, Michael Lorenzen's a right-hander. Like I said, this could be the night. I've been saying that for like 3 weeks now. This could be the night, ladies and gentlemen, where we say, and we always do this after a big drought, whoa, put those in a can, bottle that and save it for later. They got 17 hits. This could be it's a right-handed pitcher. That's all I've got for you. He's got, again, an ERA just shy of 6. You can hit this guy. Now, his last outing against the Mets, of course, he pitched well. But you can hit this guy. Josh Naylor against lefties. He's batting 120. He's 3 for 25. Here's the really bad stat. Not 1, 0 extra base hits against the left-hander. Now, when we say, and we were talking to Castro yesterday, right? Yeah, some of these young guys, and I mentioned that, the book's probably out on guys. It is out on guys like Oscar Gonzalez, who's been sent down, on guys like Will Brennan, who's really in a slump, on guys like even Andres Jimenez, who's great, Gold Glover, and deserved, I think, the big extension. He's 2 for 24 in the month of May. 2 for 24 in the month of May. Not good. But when I say everybody, Jose Ramirez against left-handers, 146. He pounded lefties last year. Now, they say that most of his power comes from, the left-handed batter's box, but he still is a very good hitter right-handed. 146. Here's the slash line. 146, 205, 268. So he's batting 146. He's on base 205, and his slugging percentage is 268 against left-handers. It's the last one because people are crying right now. They started the day like, wow, the sun's out. I get done with the stats, they're all like, oh, it's terrible.
All doom and gloom over here, Chico.
Why'd you go with that accent?
I don't know.
I put you in a weird mood. It's my fault. I put you in a weird mood.
You know what? I have to travel out to the East Coast more often than most. And so I noticed that that's something that's really common. And I like it. I love the accent. I'm sorry. I love to.
Okay, that's fair. I thought you were going to say I travel to the East Coast quite a bit, and I've developed an accent. Because people will, they'll go to Nashville for like a month or something, like let's say, or 2 weeks, and they come back and they've got a twang and like
a little bit of that Southern drawl.
It's like Brian. Oh gosh.
Oh, coach of LSU.
Yeah.
Family. Brian Kelly.
I just want to say, you guys have been great to me and my family. Like Brian.
Forrest Gump over here.
Brian, we just heard you earlier this season as coach of Notre Dame, and you didn't even remotely sound like that. Well, me and my family, like, dude, come on. So that's Bohm getting his New York accent.
Yeah, I like to. I don't want to say make fun of it because I don't want to sound condescending, but I enjoy it. I am a.
They're fun. I mean,
I'm a New York accent enthusiast, Chico.
People make fun of our you would never say that's. That's the other thing. When you bump in.
Apparently, people don't say that. I got made fun of for saying pop in Toronto one time. It's like, is that what you Americans call it?
Yes, that happened to me too. I've been in Toronto, and the same thing happened to me. And I was friends with a guy that did the minor league hockey, but he was from Toronto, and he'd be like, I don't think I'm going to drink. I just want some soda. I'm like, you mean pop? It's not pop. It is pop. But then when you think about it, it does sound better when you say soda. We just sound lazy saying pop, but that's...
Now, apparently down south, they say everything is like Coca-Cola. Everything has Coca-Cola in it. Like, no matter what the drink is, no matter what the soda is.
Boom, what are you on today? Really?
Yeah, really.
Oh, you're saying they call? Oh, I see.
And they say every drink they call it Coca-Cola something. I'm trying to remember like the full terminology. But
so like if it's
Coca-Cola Sprite.
If it's like Crush, Orange Crush, they go, oh, the Coca-Cola Crush, Orange Crush. Like that's how they order it. All the Coca-Cola Mountain Dew. Is that what you're saying, Bohm?
Orange Coca-Cola.
Can we start this show over? My God.
Have we gone off the rails? Is it official yet? Can we declare it?
Not many times do I kind of give you the out and say it's on me, but this one's on me. It started with the Hank Voight Atwater. Now, next time you see that, I know you're going to text me. Well, let's go. What are we doing? Let's get the street cam footage. Let's see what we can get on tape. Well, somebody was out there. Somebody saw something. Let's go. Hank, we know. We've been doing this for a dozen years. You don't have to talk to us like we're neophytes.
I got to find some Hank Voight quotables.
We do.
Just to break out on the show.
So my last stat, and they're going to get out of this at some point. They will. But I mention this because it has been like, remember how we watched the Cavs games in the playoffs? And it was like, you would sit there at some point and just scream at during each of those 5 games, maybe except for game 2. But each of those 5 games, for the most part, you're just like, get a bleeping rebound. And it was just, one right after another. By the way, Miami Heat had 7 offensive rebounds against them in the fourth quarter alone last night. More on that later in the show. But, so we're screaming, get a rebound. Now we're watching the Guardians going, okay, it's not do or die. It's May. But you're screaming to your television like, get a hit. Somebody just find a hole. I don't care if it's a Texas leaguer. I don't care what. Just get something to drop, okay? And then you're waiting for, like I said, okay, something's going to happen that the dam breaks and then everybody starts hitting and you're going to be okay. Or maybe it's going to be a while. Like I said, the good news is you are not in the American, or you are in the American League Central Division. This isn't the Tampa Bay Rays. You don't have a team running away with it in the division. But you got to get going. Because I feel like, again, with a young team, and this is, again, I feel like we're making common comparisons right now with the Cavs, just like we are talking about the Guardians, like young team, right? Now, the difference is, obviously, the Guardians have plenty of experience as far as winning, but you have a lot of young guys on this team. And 1 year, okay, guys like Oscar, guys like Will Brennan, even Jimenez, and, okay, you fooled some guys, or maybe the book wasn't out. Now it is, and now they're exploiting the living hell out of you. They know what your weaknesses are. They're going right after you, and you've got to make the adjustment. Problem is, it's not like they're, and Tito said this last night, like this is not one of those, like with the Cavs, let's be honest. There were times that when they didn't grab a rebound, it was simply because they thought it was like game 22 of the regular season. Oh, that ball's going to go out of bounds. I'm not going to go chase it. Oh, wait, it's not going to go out of bounds. Josh Hart's going to come flying out of nowhere, grab it, save it, throw it over to Jalen Brunson at the top of the circle, hit a three, and you're going nuts. But it's not a matter of effort, but every single game that goes by and every single opportunity that goes by that they're not able to cash in feels like, okay, the next day, like tonight, you can tell yourself, just relax. Like, we'll say that. Even Terry Francona will say that. I mean, it's tough. First of all, it's a pretty tough sport. It's pretty tough when, especially with young guys and trying to learn the ins and outs. And then, okay, now these big league pitchers are making big league adjustments because the big league scouts and the big league advanced scouts, now they've got all the film, and now they're, okay, now you've got to prove to us that you can adjust to what we're doing. It's not easy. But, man, I don't know how much more. Like, if I watch tonight, Bohm, and this is another one of those, like they have 2 hits through 6 innings, and like they're batting in the 7th, and they have runners on, second and third with nobody out or 1 out, and they come away with zip, I'm going to lose it. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I was yelling at my team, and I said I'm not really a yeller or screamer. And again, we're 35 games in to a 162 game season. But I think when you see this like every night, it's just frustrating, and you feel for guys. I mean, Tanner Bybee, your boy. What happened to your boy? Tanner Bybee actually, he had a rookie game. Now, in some cases, some offenses, not the Guardians right now, but in some cases, hey, you can get away with that. You're not. I mean, Shane Bieber tonight, he's got to be damn near perfect. He's got to feel that way. His outing against the Yankees, he pitched pretty darn well enough to win. Couldn't get it. I mean, and you're saying this a lot with these pitchers, and some of them have struggled. And some of them, obviously, we got 2 that are injured, but that's not the issue right now. It's not like we're saying, man, this rotation is just getting battered. And these young guys have pretty much held their own. And the bullpen's been taxed. I mean, Karinchak and Clase are like 1-2 as far as appearances. It's time for this offense to get going. Do it tonight against a right. Okay, lefties you struggled with. You got Lorenzen on the mound. This guy he's nothing. Okay, I say that. I don't have to stay in the box against him. But I'm not a major league player. Get after this guy. Be patient. Be patient. And that's hard. I realize that's so much easier said than done to tell a guy who's in a slump, who's 3 for his last 25 against lefties or whatever, and as a team, you're dead last in home runs. You want to hit that 3-run home run with nobody on base because, let's do it already. It doesn't work that way. But this is getting really, really ugly.
Chico, it's so frustrating, but at this point, I don't know how you can expect otherwise. Like, it feels like it's becoming the norm for what this team does. Like, atop the league in runners left on base, just a constant inability. Yeah, that's what it's been lately. That's been like...
what we're discussing right now is nobody expected, just because they signed Josh Bell, that they're going to lead the league in home runs.
Of course not.
But runners and scoring, this is, okay, it's 35 games. But what I'm saying is I don't fear that it's going to be the norm. What I do fear is that, again, because you have young guys,
it's extra rattling.
It might take a little longer, it's kind of like we said in the NBA playoffs. Like, look, until you do it, until you get that experience, we can talk about it and we can roll our eyes and say, oh, whatever, experience isn't that. It's way over. Well, look at these teams that are doing well. Look at the Knicks, and I'll save that for a little bit. I'm not gonna. We've already put up the PG-13 rating on the screen. But it's not going to happen overnight. I get that. I understand that. I'm just saying, as a fan, and I consider myself fairly patient. Not in all aspects of life, as Bohm nods his head and smiles. But with baseball, hey, it's a long season, but this is getting really, really tough.
It's a lot of disappointment. Just seeing these opportunities blown so
Dynamite
constantly.
drop in, Monty. That broadcast school's really paid off.
Thanks, Chico.
I'm just kidding, Bohm. You know I love you. All right, let's hear from you. What do you got for me? Any of you wearing grout uniforms today?
Grout.
Grout. What is it? Grout fit. I'm sorry. Grout. Yeah, isn't grout like something in your tub? He compared my shirt to grout in the tub.
Don't you put it on your front lawn?
216-626-7901. 216-626-7901. And on Twitter. Now this grout fit thing's starting to get legs. Like I'd honestly never heard of it before.
Might have to rock a grout fit tomorrow, Chico.
So all it is gray and green? Is that?
No, it's all. I thought it was all gray.
Oh, all gray.
Gray on gray. I guess green also is GR, but it originated from gray.
Is there a camera under it? How would he know what I'm wearing underneath this?
He's got the Texas Hold'em cam. Shows under the table.
Oh, what was that like? No, so this is a grout fit from what I understand. All right, I'll tell you what. We're going to take a break. I need to kind of I'm not upset. I do realize I consider myself very realistic. I consider myself somebody that can take a step back and kind of see, at least for the most part, with our sports teams. But I also, I can't sit here and lie to you and be like, it's okay, watch it. No. I think tonight could be my boiling point. Like, if Bieber pitches his ass off tonight, and by ass off, I mean he goes 7 innings, gives up 1 run, and, 3 hits, no walks, 8 Ks, and they lose 1-0, I'm going to be upset.
That is not okay. That is simply not okay.
Where's that from?
I don't know. I just, just riffing.
You all right, Bo?
I'm good, Getting amped up for fair or foul.
Can you gather yourself in time for fair or foul? Is it enough?
Just enough.
Okay. Brad Ward's going to be talking Browns at the top of the hour. And, I'm sure I'll get animated with them, too. Who knows? My blood pressure at the end of the show could be 210 over 140.
Astronomical.
I think 210 over 140. I might be dead, but who knows? All right, we'll step aside when we come back. It is a Tuesday edition of Fair or Foul, a Bohm edition of Fair or Foul, but Bohm's got a weird look in his eye today, and I think I started it, bringing in Hank Voigt and all this other jibber-jabber, tomfoolery, shenanigans. Now Bohm's just, it doesn't take much to get him riled up, laughing, and just completely off the rails. He's off the rails. So, kids, stay tuned. Fair or Foul's next. The Chico Bormann Show right here on the Big Play Network. here on the Chico Bormann Show. Boom, you want to make sure that light's lit up. That means we're on. Back live here at the Chico Bormann Show. On the Big Play Network, we broadcast live from 1 to 3, Monday through Friday, here at lovely Burke Lakefront Airport. Sun is out. Hopefully the Guardians' guns are out, and they can get some runs, get some hits going, get something contagious going. Something. Speaking of that, before we get to fair or foul, folks, we have a nice little promotion here with our friends at Tipico. Swing for the Fences MLB tournament is here on Tipico Sportsbook for the entire month of May. The more you bet, the more you score, literally. Make $20 MLB bets on baseball with odds of at least minus 200. They can be straight bets, parlays, same game parlays. I mean, all your options are open. Again, $20 Major League Baseball bets on baseball with odds of at least minus 200. The top 100 bettors on the leaderboard will win a share, check this out, of $100,000. $100,000 in bonus bets on us for an entire year. Download Tipico Sportsbook with promo code Chico. That's CHICO. Boom. Chico is spelled CHICO. You can get started, start betting on baseball today. They have the leaderboard there. You can check that out. You can see your name in lights. More importantly, you can make some money. You can swing for the fences. MLB tournament is here. Tipico Sportsbook for the entire month of May. Good luck to you. All right, Bohm. First of all, what are you chuckling about over there before we even begin fair or foul?
I wasn't sure if I wanted to mention this on the air, but since you inquired.
Oh, boy.
We got a YouTube comment, Chico.
Oh, boy. What do we got?
Who's the hottest Chicago PD chick?
You know, it was...
Aaron.
Yeah, it was Aaron. She also had a raspy voice.
A little bit, yeah.
It kind of... Bohm, you trying to... Is that also you trying to... Frog in your throat? Yeah, Sophia Bush is her name. She left because... And you know why she left? Real life?
Hank Voight.
Hank Voight was an a-hole on set.
Scared her off.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's gone. I would say her. Burgess is okay. Haley is okay.
I like Haley.
Yeah, I mean, she's all right. Look at me. Brad Pitt over here. Burgess is all right. Yeah, she's only in, on a television drama series, one of the best on TV.
She does all right for herself.
Who asked that question, by the way?
Oh, that's from courtesy of Chipper Nenadol.
Chipper Nenadol. Not Larry Wayne Jones Jr.
Correct.
Not that Chipper. Okay. All right, let's do a little fair foul.
Why don't we do that, Chico?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, well, I want to lead things off because you brought up some really interesting, sobering stats about the Guardians here. Yeah, some very, really puts things in perspective. But you mentioned Josh Naylor. His average against Southpaws, it was somewhere around, I think you said like 125 or something.
120, he's 3 for 25 on the year with no extra base hits.
Yeah, not good. So I guess I'm asking for, with this question, your how you think things might wind up, because fair or foul, Josh Naylor will wind up over the Mendoza line against Southpaws by the end of the season.
I'll go foul on that. I mean, here's the thing. Like, the Guardians, and this is something that Tito's been very good at. Of course, it leads to tons of criticism because it's, why don't you play this guy versus that guy? Now, last year solidified a lot of spots. Obviously, Stephen Kwan, I think. Stephen Kwan and Andres Jimenez was huge. Like, they didn't waste any time. Okay, now you know what you got there. But in large part, when you have a payroll you got to piecemeal it together. And that's something Tito's been able to do, and they've been able to do. But right now, like, I mean, you don't have a right-handed bat. They played Fry, I think, last night at first base. He didn't do much, and he's not going to do much. You need the other guys. I mean, okay, if you have a guy that's struggling against lefties, it happens. But you can't have everybody. Like, Jose's got to be better than 146. So I'll say Naylor, foul that he gets above the Mendoza line against lefties. He'll come around. He's going to start pounding some pitchers and right-handers, and he'll be all right. I keep saying that. Yes, they will be all right. If I say it enough,
we can manifest it.
They'll be all right. They'll be all right. I feel like Robin Williams in a good one. It's not your fault. I know, Sean. It's not your fault. I know. Sean,
don't make me cry, Chico.
It's not your
fault.
fault.
It is a powerful scene.
Very, very emotional movie. Very, very powerful scene. One of my all-time favorite movies, by the way.
His soliloquy, Robin Williams, on love in that movie is like when they're sitting on that park bench.
When he asks, when Matt Damon responds with, "Is this a taster's choice moment between guys?" I could see you crying during that, Bohm.
Yeah.
It is. Look, it's.
What can I say?
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, if you cried about not getting Calvin Johnson, I can definitely see you crying about that clip in Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, maybe I'll cry about not getting the next Calvin Johnson, too, in Marvin Harrison Jr.
Might even be better. Why set the bar, Marvin Harrison Jr.? No.
This is a new age of the NFL, after all. If he is in a better situation than Detroit, it is quite possible.
Yeah, that's all I need to do is give you more ammunition to think that a Buckeye's going to be. Yeah, not Bull. He's going to be the best ever, fair or foul. He'll be Jerry Rice in 3 years, fair or foul.
Well, Chico, I want to move on.
You reading off a script?
No, I'm.
Come on, man. We just kind of.
I don't have prepared questions. I'm just like reading tweets that I liked and basing my questions off of that.
So you're admitting you didn't do any work.
It's very freeform, just like my content. You know, when I make cover videos of songs, there's a lot of improvisation going with the flow.
This isn't one of your rock and roll gigs in New York City. This is very serious stuff here at the. All right, go ahead.
I'm just saying, I don't need very much to like formulate a question.
I'm kidding.
I got the foundation laid.
It sounds like you're kind of struggling getting into that one. I'm just giving you hell. Go ahead.
Sure. Understood. All right. Well, I thought Mike Florio had some really interesting comments, Chico. Yesterday, he said that he expects quarterback Patrick Mahomes to once again be the highest paid player in football on an average per year basis before week 1. Now, he just signed a deal that has kind of reset the precedent prior to Deshaun Watson for NFL
I would
quarterbacks.
Say just. I mean, but yeah.
Yeah.
He said it. It was half
last
$1 billion.
year, right?
$500 million.
Yeah, so to get an extension or a contract readjustment so quickly, fair or foul, are you buying that report?
Well, first of all, Mike Florio is very respected in the industry, and Mike Florio knows a lot. So this is not necessarily like, oh, Florio's full of it. But part of the reason, well, one of the main reasons Kansas City has been so great and will be great for a while is, well, they've got the best quarterback in the league and will have him for a long time. But they made a point to try to get ahead of it, right? Try to get, like the Baltimore Ravens, it worked out in the end with Lamar Jackson, but you don't want to wait. As soon as Josh Allen signed his deal, Eric DeCosta should have been saying, Josh, get in here. We want to get a deal done. They waited, and then there was all. Now, again, in the end, it's okay. But Kansas City has been very, very good, knowing when to hold them, when to fold them, who to sign, who not to sign, who to leave to the draft and go with, young offensive linemen that have been outstanding. Creed Humphrey is, but I'm going to go foul only because both sides, boom, don't tell your joke that you're going to go with when to hold them, when to fold them. I know it's a Kenny Rogers gambler joke. It is? All right, just keep it to yourself. I can see it. I can see it coming out of your ears right now. This guy, I'll tell you.
You read my mind.
But this is what they've agreed on. And I know, okay, well, a lot of guys agree on a contract, but Mahomes has said he's cool, and the Chiefs have said that's what's going to allow them to keep doing what they're doing. Now, other guys, you saw what they had to do with Tyreek Hill. You're going to have to make a decision. So they made a decision there, and they're going to – but I don't see that. Unless Patrick Mahomes' brother becomes his agent, I don't see that happening.
Jackson needs some more money for attorney fees, I suppose.
That's a good one, though. It's better than whatever gambler joke
totally.
that you had coming from Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's move on, but stick in the NFL with another quarterback, one that I obviously might have a little bit of bias towards, Justin Fields. I thought his offensive coordinator had some interesting comments in terms of his optimism with Fields, because obviously, when you have a quarterback where the regime changes while that quarterback is in there, it feels like oftentimes it's very easy to fall out of their favor. But it sounds like they're starting things off on the right foot, as Bears offensive coordinator Luke Getsy said, quote, "Where he was at this time last year to where he is now, I think he's just light years ahead of where he was." Fair or foul, Chico, Justin Fields will win an MVP at one point in his career.
I'm going to go foul, only because the competition's too. I mean, look who you're going against. That doesn't mean Justin Fields won't have a very good career and will continue to ascend, but part of that, I mean, we had this argument so many times across all sports. What is the criteria for MVP voting? Everybody's criteria seemingly is different. Well, one of the ones that a lot of people pay attention to is, you're great, but are you winning? And hopefully Chicago is going to be heading in that direction for the sake of Justin Fields and any Chicagoans out there. But, I mean, just in the AFC alone, we talk about it all the time. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, we hope. Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's just the list goes on and on and on. Joe Burrow. So to say that that's too lofty. That's too lofty. He'll have a great career, but I don't know about MVP.
Yeah, and I do think that's fair, Chico. I will just say, and I'll leave it at this, I'm eager to see what he can do when you throw a DJ Moore into the fold.
Oh, I know you're eager to see Justin Fields.
Well, from one quarterback to another, and one more.
Art Schleister? Is this an Art Schleister fair or foul ball?
It is not. I did not have that in my repertoire today.
All right.
But I did want to talk to you about new Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson, Chico.
Yes, let's talk about Anthony Richardson.
So Jonathan Taylor had a lot of high praise for him, but one thing in particular he said was, quote, he believes that Richardson will develop faster than every other quarterback in the AFC South. Now, if we run through the quarterbacks in the AFC South, you've got Trevor Lawrence with Jacksonville. You've got C.J. Stroud coming in with Houston. Also in Tennessee, you've got Malik Willis and Will Levis. Now, obviously, there's nothing wrong with a teammate praising his quarterback, but this is fair or foul, so I feel it's fair to inquire, at the very least. Fair or foul, Jonathan Taylor's comments that his new incoming QB, Anthony Richardson, will develop faster than any other AFC South quarterback.
Okay, so we'll go fair and foul. It's fair because, like you said, he's his teammate. It's foul only because, now he may, but if he does, it's going to be a huge shock. The guy is easily the most raw. Trevor Lawrence, great career. C.J. Stroud, great career. Now, Will Levis, but you still got those two. So the question is, am I right? The question is, any quarterback will develop faster than any quarterback in the AFC South. No. And I think one of the there's many storylines this year in the NFL, a ton. There always are. But I think one of the great storylines is, and we've talked about this before, the Colts, I don't want to say they have a ready-made Super Bowl roster, but they're talented. They obviously, the guy that made those comments is one of the best backs in the league if he can stay healthy, Jonathan Taylor. You've got some good wideouts. You've got a good offensive line. They've had to revamp a little bit. And the defense is pretty darn good, too. You got some playmakers there. So, Anthony Richardson, I think how quickly he does, you have Gardner Minshew there, he can win you a few games, but how quickly he does, because if Shane Steichen, who had Jalen Hurts, I don't have to tell you guys that, in Philadelphia, and this is what he does. If he is able to get Anthony Richardson, really to get all that potential and realize all that potential, because you're hearing some guys say, this is not hyperbole, you're hearing a lot of guys say, a lot of experts say, this might be the most talented quarterback to ever come out. That doesn't mean he's going to do squat in the NFL. But in terms of size, arm, athletic ability, how quick he is, all of those traits, you have people saying he might be the best to come out. So how quickly Steichen can get him assimilated and going, Indianapolis could be a dangerous, dangerous team this year. I mean, Jonathan Taylor in the backfield takes a lot of the pressure off him. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's definitely one of many very, very curious and intriguing storylines this season in the NFL.
Yeah, and obviously you mentioned that potential, and it's completely through the roof. At the same time, I feel like Richardson has the most room for growth of these quarterbacks when you factor in that potential and physical ability, but also, he hasn't totally put it all together yet. In a lot of ways, I think that fact is what reminds people who compare him to Josh Allen. Like, he's not Josh Allen, but it's that same trait.
Yeah, look, I do it. We all do it. I think it's just human nature at this point. We compare everything.
Yeah.
We compare, your girlfriend against another guy's girlfriend. It's just what you do. And in the NFL and in sports, you're constantly comparing. Drafts, well, who's your draft comparison for him, Mel? Who's yours, Todd McShay? Like, that's just what we do. So, Todd. Yeah, Anthony Richardson, he's got a lot of speed. He's got a great arm. He's certainly a kid that's built. When you say built for the position, you're talking about a kid who is about 6'4". He's got a rifle for an arm. Todd. Wait, I'm not Todd. Rifle for an arm. He's lightning quick, but it's going to be a little while. Yeah, so let's pump the brakes. Mel, why are you screaming at me?
That was great. I appreciated that. That was a great Mel Kiper impression.
Actually, all my impersonations suck. It's just that, do they suck bad enough where they're actually good and they're funny? I don't pretend to have any kind of, good impersonations.
Honestly, I think Frank Caliendo would have given you a good grade on that one, Chico. That was, at the very least, it reminded me very much of Frank's impression of Mel.
I like Frank.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I like Frank.
That's a talent.
Yeah, I don't know why his television show never took off. Why was that, Bo?
That's a good question. I didn't watch it enough.
That could be why it didn't take off.
Probably
it's
encapsulates
your fault,
just why. In a nutshell.
Poor guy can't make ends meet because you didn't want to watch his show.
It is partly my fault. That's
Sleep
fair.
well, Bohm. Sleep well.
All right. Well, I want to move to the NBA, Chico, where last night we saw a couple of good matchups as the Miami Heat took down the New York Knicks, but also the Los Angeles Lakers upsetting Golden State once again to go up 3-1. Insert 3-1 lead joke here.
Lakers were favored on that.
I think
game.
when going into the series, though, you wouldn't have expected it. I think they should have been considered the underdogs, despite having LeBron. They were the lower seed.
By the way, this is where I want to go with this real quick before you get to your fair or foul. Did I not tell you yesterday that when Anthony Davis plays, and granted that was an all, but that's the potential he has. It's just a matter of, can he not, break his toe? Can he not sprain his thumb? Can he not whatever? Anthony Davis, when he plays at the level that he can play at, and last night was one of those nights, they will not lose. Now, there were years in LeBron's career where, yeah, you'd say the same thing. LeBron is still vitally important, don't get me wrong. But we were having this argument yesterday. You said the Lakers will go as far as LeBron takes them. Nope. The Lakers, yes, he's involved in that, a big part. But the Lakers will go as far as Anthony Davis can stay healthy and Anthony Davis can be Anthony Davis.
Sure. Now, of course, Anthony Davis last night coming away with, 23 and 15. Still not the leading point getter, though, on the team, as that was LeBron at the end of the day.
Did you see him, defensively, too?
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that, that you kind of, I feel like now maybe you've hinted at your answer for this question here, but I'll pose it anyways just to set it in stone. Fair or foul, Anthony Davis is the MVP of this Lakers team.
Oh, what, for the season?
For this playoff run.
Well,
And sure, for the season too. Now I'm curious.
No, for the playoff, I don't even want to say MVP. Like he's the MIP. He's the most important player for the Lakers if they're going to win the West. And remember, Chris Mannix said this about a month ago. And yeah, it was kind of outlandish, but part of it was, the West maybe not so good. Now we might be saying that about the East, by the way, but that the West might not be as good. And, they have good role players too. I mean, we're not forgetting about, the Reeves and others that are on that team that have played very, very well. D'Angelo Russell, but boom, Anthony Davis. If you want to call him the MVP, fine, but he's the most important player. And as he goes, they go. LeBron can have a 45-point night, but if Anthony Davis has 9 points and 10 rebounds, they're not going to, and isn't a factor on defense, they're not going to win.
All right, well, we're running out of time here on Fair or Foul, but I just want to sneak my last one in here, sneak a little bit of hockey in for you. I know you're not the biggest of hockey hooligans. However, last night the NHL draft took place.
Yeah.
Columbus Blue Jackets were slated to come away with, their odds were in their favor to come away with the top 2 pick. It was interesting how things unfolded as we saw an announcer kind of give away the Blue Jackets pick before the official announcement that they were picking third, that they fell behind and picked third.
That's shenanigans.
Fair or foul, Chico, the NHL draft is rigged.
I saw that all over social media too. I'm going to go foul on that. I'm sure that it comes for those guys. Foul, but not very definitive. Not said with a ton of conviction, put it that way. I was hoping the Blue Jackets would get their roster. They need to get. Torts was a great coach. They need to find another Torts. Saying I don't have hockey chops. The hell do you know, Bohm? All right, just kidding. All right, that is Fair or Foul on this Tuesday afternoon. We're going to get back into the NBA later this hour. I do want to talk more about Anthony Davis. Incredible performance. Do want to talk about the Miami Heat. And, of course, how does this all go back to the Cleveland Cavaliers? Well, you can kind of guess, but we're going to talk about it anyway coming up later in the hour. But right now on the Chico Bormann Show here on the Big Play Network, where it is just gorgeous outside here at Burke Lakefront Airport, we are very happy to welcome in from the Orange and Brown Report, Brad Ward, joining us here on the show. As I said to you, Bohm, off the air, I will now say it on the air about Mr. Ward. He is a grinder. He's one of those guys. He's a grinder. Even where he's coming to us now from, doesn't that just look like a cave that when he goes to do Browns research or player research, he goes into that cave and he might not come out for 2-3 weeks. Does that not look like it?
Got the soundproofing and everything.
Yeah, he's not messing around. Yeah. Brad, it is great to have you on the show. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. I've enjoyed your show so far. I'm also a fan of Chicago PD. I like your Hank Voigt very much. So that was terrific impression. And enjoying the NBA playoffs as well.
Let me just ask you something. Doesn't Voigt always... Am I wrong that it kind of gets on my nerves? And maybe it's because I heard about what Sophia Bush / Aaron said when on her way out, that Voigt was the real Voigt was a real a-hole to people there. But every time he gives his detectives directions, he's always just what are we doing? Well, we just got the information. You don't have to get an attitude with us, Voigt.
Like it's their first day on the job, right?
Yes,
They've never done it before. Come on. What are you thinking?
Burgess, Haley, let's go. Oh, wait, here comes, what's her name? That old bag downstairs. Mouch's
Trudy.
The Trudy. All right, let's talk some Browns, for God's sake. All right, Brad, haven't talked to you since the draft. I'll go general here right off the bat. In general, first blush, your reaction to the Browns that we know they didn't have a pick until the third round, but multiple 3s, multiple 4s, multiple 5s. They end up with 7. What'd you think?
I thought they did some good things. I like the Cedric Tillman pick. I like the Isaiah McGuire pick a lot. Those are probably my two favorite picks. And I was a big fan of the corner they took, the Newsome's buddy, Cameron Mitchell. I think he can help in the slot. You know, I wasn't overwhelmed. DeJuan Jones, really good value. Luke Whippler, really good value where they took him. And if it ultimately ends up making the offensive line cheaper in the long run, Chico, then I'm all for it. It makes sense. I think there was some more immediate needs, though. One of the picks that I really questioned at the time, and a lot of people don't agree with me on this, but I was a little confused by the Dorian Thompson-Robinson pick at that point in the draft, where there was a Jamie Robinson safety on the board at that point.
No relation.
Who was, because they got a plan eventually for, I don't see them extending Delpit. So you have to find somebody who's going to fill that role long term. That seemed like the ideal place to do it. And, you've already got Dobbs as a backup. You're paying $2 million, and you kept Kellen Mond on the roster all 17 weeks last year and never dressed him.
He won't make the roster. I would think Mond's probably gone, don't you think?
Probably gone, yeah. Okay. So, but, we're talking about minimal savings by getting Dorian Thompson-Robinson as your long-term backup, I guess. But a lot of people disagree with me. There is value in taking quarterback. I see that. But, I just thought there were some better players on the board. I was so-so on the draft. I'd give it like a C+, B-.
Ooh, tough grader there, Mr. Ward.
Yeah,
that's all right.
I can't get too excited about offensive linemen. I just they're trying to win this year. Now they did come around and get a safety, Rodney McLeod, which made me feel better about that, right? Whole situation. But he's not a long-term answer. He's a 1-year Band-Aid, right, for depth at safety. So I kind of wish they would have taken a succession plan there for what they're going to do when Delpit's done.
Okay, we're talking to Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Report. Always good talking Browns football with him. I want to go back to that DTR pick because it's funny. There are people that are in your camp that say, I didn't like it, but then there's people that are in the camp that they love it. There seems to be no in-between, maybe because that's the position and all that. But here's what I was thinking, because as I heard you, and I think correctly, talk about Delpit, I think one of the realities for the Browns, and tell me if you agree with this, is that moving forward, like they've always paid backup quarterbacks, whether it be Case Keenum, $6 million, and I don't know how much longer Dobbs is going to be with them. I don't know how much longer he signed. But I think the idea of having DTR on a rookie deal for, 4 years, I think that could be one of those areas. And you're right, safety, we don't know what's going to happen with Delpit. But I think the same thinking from Andrew Berry could also be applied to the backup quarterback position. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, sure. That's ultimately what they're looking for, right? Is they're looking to have a guy on a rookie deal that can play the same offense as Deshaun, same skill set, right? And it makes sense. I get it. Like, I'm not, I totally get it. Like it, but like, what do you say? You're paying Dobbs $2 million this year. And DTR is gonna make like what? Yeah, $1 million.
That's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily. I think this was a pick for the future and not this year. I think this was like next year, 2 years, 3 years. DTR's on. Like, it seems like that, and I think that was a lot of their draft, which we'll get to here in a moment. I think it felt like that was a lot of their draft, was thinking, hopefully getting some guys to contribute right now, but also realizing like, hey, we're not going to be able to keep all of these wide receivers in this wide receiver room. So hopefully, a guy like Cedric Tillman is going to develop, and he's going to be in 2 years, he might be a number one on this team. You know what I mean? It felt like that.
Absolutely.
The future was kind of what they were looking at with a lot of these guys.
Yeah. definitely. So yeah, you're right. Long term after this year, Dobbs is gone and he slides into the backup role. That's good. They have a cheap backup for a few years. So I see the long term vision. I just kind of have like this thought in my head, like, if we're relying on DTR to win us a lot of games, then we're probably in trouble anyways. But
Yeah, no, that's okay. I hope not.
Yeah. But
we'll just end the conversation right here if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah. But either way, it's so hard to judge these things right away. You know what I mean? People give grades, but we don't know for like 3 years either way. So, but yeah, sure. And he fits into what they want to do. So, I mean, I get it. There was some guys on the board. I'll just leave it at this. There were some guys on the board I would have preferred they had taken at that point.
That's fair.
The rest of the draft, though, I can get behind all of the picks. Ultimately, one of my bigger complaints is the amount of money they're spending on the offensive line. So DeJuan Jones and Luke Whippler makes sense, right? Now Whippler can't play anything but center, which is probably why, and he's a little bit sawed off. So he probably. My question is, why did he fall so far, right? You know what I mean? He really fell,
understanding, I can actually speak to that a little bit, just following Ohio State. My understanding was, like, and again, I know this, I keep going back to the same theme about future, but Ohio State was, I don't want to say disappointed. They want the best for, each of their kids if you can go and make money and go to the pros, but they didn't think they were surprised that he went to the NFL. They thought he was going to come back for another year. So I think it's known that, okay, look, he's not going to be anything right away, but he could be someone that, really, he's a technician. Of course, you get him with Callahan and who knows, and he could be, the center of the future for the Browns in years to come. I think, again, that was another one where, hey, not a lot of teams think that he's capable right now, and this was more of a in-the-future type, crystal ball type pick for the Browns. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I know that Ohio State was very surprised that he went pro.
I had heard that too, and that does make sense. And he certainly was on most consensus boards supposed to go like a lot higher, third round, right? Like a lot of grades, third, fourth round. So, good value everywhere. Andrew Berry gets good value on all his picks. So, I agree with you. Makes a lot of sense. In 2 years, they're going to have a lot of tough decisions on this offensive line. So DeJuan Jones being there makes a lot of sense. I don't know. Some people think he could play left tackle. Either way, if he can fill a tackle spot in 2 years, you're going to need somebody, right? So we'll see what happens with him. And he is a monster of a human being.
Yes, he is.
Whippler certainly is skilled, right? Like, and can do everything you need him to do at the center spot. So he goes into the mix there with a guy like Dawson Deaton, and Nick Harris is kind of falling out of favor, it feels like. What's interesting about Harris is he has this hop technique, right? Because he's kind of a shorter guy. Like, he would always snap the ball and hop back and then re-anchor, which is a couple guys use it, right? And I think that what they're thinking, Chico, is that with a devastating knee injury like that, will he be able to still use that same technique and hop back and anchor with his knee the way it is? And I get the feeling that may be why he's falling out of favor.
Okay, I like it. Again, Brad Ward joining us, Orange and Brown Report here on the Chico Bormann Show on the Big Play Network. Of course, the Browns, the draft didn't necessarily get a whole lot of folks excited. What I think is interesting, and I mean excited in terms of you don't have a first rounder, you don't have a second rounder. What I do think is interesting, though, is that you still look at, like Tillman, for instance. I think we immediately hear, because he's a third-round pick, or I'm sorry, because he was their first pick, forget about the third round, they just automatically assume, like, well, he's going to step right in. And he could be very, very good. I mean, again, you go back 2 years ago, he was the guy, and you look at what he did against Alabama, Georgia. I mean, these are great teams that he lit up. But I think it's interesting that as fans, we look at these guys and say, well, those are your, first couple of picks. They better, well, again, we're talking about third, fourth. Terry Pluto put it in his column. Like he went through the percentages of these guys that make it. And, I think Cedric Tillman is going to do well, but I think people thinking first of all, the room's pretty crowded.
Very.
And so, anybody that's expecting you to just jump right in there and be this superstar, that's probably not going to happen.
No, yeah, we forget that it's a third-round pick. It feels like a first to us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, Tillman, I really like the pick. To your point, he kind of flew under the radar on a lot of people's stuff because of the injury, right? Missing 6 games, but to your point, he was an absolute stud in 2021, and he was the guy before the injury, and then Hyatt became the guy, right? So he very much fits the mold of Donovan Peoples-Jones, right? Like he's a very similar, they profile a lot similarly athletically. And a lot, once again, to your point, could this be his succession plan? Like, we don't want to pay Donovan $15 million, a year at the end of this thing. If he, goes for 1,000 yards this year, can we replace him with Tillman? I don't necessarily know if that's the case. I kind of think Elijah Moore is going to shake up the distribution in this room. I think he's going to have a really good year. And then you may have to make a decision between an older Cooper or a Donovan Peoples-Jones and what you want to do with Tillman going forward. But either way, I think he fits as a guy that can replace somebody in the coming years in that room and save you some money that, you don't have to, so much about with the wide receiver contracts now being so out of control, right? Like for the higher paid guys or even mid-level guys is, can you get guys to contribute on a rookie deal and how valuable that is to roster construction?
Look at Kansas City. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, but, what they got, guys like Creed Humphrey, I was talking about him in the first hour, the young guys and the defense, the guys that they had, that's where Kansas City, Brett Veach was unbelievable. And that's, if you're a Browns fan, that's kind of the blueprint. Easier said than done, I realize, but that's how you do it. And, man, Kansas City has done it. It's not just by accident, and it's not just because a lot has to do with Patrick Mahomes, but it's not just because of Patrick Mahomes. Veach has done an unbelievable job in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that they kind of moneyballed the whole Tyreek Hill thing, right? Like, let's let Tyreek Hill go and we'll replace him in the aggregate, right? And that's kind of what they did, and it worked. So, it's a lot easier when you have Mahomes, right? But certainly the concept is one that people are trying to do all over the NFL all the time, right? Like, can we get away with not paying this guy and replacing him with a draft pick that we trade him for or compensation somehow and keep our price down at a position without losing production? And it's a difficult game to play. But, the Browns are in, I mean, they got to win this year, right? Like they got to do enough, in my opinion, to keep Stefanski around. I'm a fan of his, so I would like to keep him around. I just don't know if they can do better right now,
Yeah.
So, here's hoping that all these picks, and to be honest, they've done all the right things this offseason. I thought they had a really good free agency, and the signing of Rodney McLeod is a good one, a guy that worked with Shorts, a guy that, won a Super Bowl with him. They're making decisions that are more, immediate, than in the past, right? I don't know if they would have necessarily made a McLeod signing like that in the past. Like, we saw them neglect kind of the defensive tackle room last year when we're going to look. We know this defensive tackle room is terrible. What are we doing? But they ran him out there anyways, right? They're not doing that this year. They're making sure they shore up everything. So,
all right, Brad, you actually took me right where I want to go because you mentioned McLeod. We talk about Juan Thornhill coming in, and others. This is okay. What do they have to do to have Stefanski be around? And I want him to be around. I'm like you. I do think that the talent, he's got a great offensive mind. But this is where I struggle. I mean, I just and it's fair. I don't think I'm being overly critical here. This is do or die, not only as far as wins and showing vast improvement, but it comes down to, you mentioned McLeod, you mentioned Thornhill. Like, you go and sign Jadeveon Clowney, you go and sign John Johnson. Okay, John Johnson wasn't the reason for any struggles last year, but I've been saying this time and again. If you're John Johnson or Jadeveon Clowney, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And Johnson just struck me as a guy that, I'm not saying that he was a horrible teammate, horrible locker room guy, but what are you doing? Like, you kind of stirred the pot with the defensive backs and chirping after games and missing time. Then you're criticizing the offense. Rodney McLeod, Juan Thornhill, I think they can play very well, but hopefully this defense as a whole and this entire team as a whole, and hopefully Schwartz is going to really do that on the defensive end. You play for each other, and I know it's whatever, roll your eyes, but okay, if you want a team, an organization that's gonna win and consistently win, and there's a huge difference between winning, you did that in 2020, and being consistent, well, you better get those guys, the culture guys, and they really misfired. I like Andrew Berry a lot. Why did you chase Jadeveon Clowney like you did for 2 years when this guy ultimately, what I'm going to remember him for, you just schemed for Myles Garrett, so I'd look bad. Are you kidding me? Like, that attitude needs to be long gone by the time September rolls around.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Like, last year's team was a tough team to like, right? Like, they were hard to like because of all the chatter and the they lacked an identity, right? Like, they didn't have an identity. They were pointing fingers at each other. The culture was, whatever, cracked, I guess, on the defensive side especially. I don't think you see any of that with Schwartz. I think that he will. In what we've heard out of Berea already, it is all that, he's not, no nonsense, none of that stuff's going on. So, and I like bringing in guys that have won, some culture guys like McLeod and Thornhill. Thornhill gets the elf tattoo on his arm already. He's all in, right?
He gets us. Yeah. Our first, there we go. He gets us.
Yeah. But you're right, and it needs to be different. I kind of like that they're going away as a team, right?
I do too.
I like that concept. Get away from all the distractions, spend time together, get to know each other. That camaraderie stuff, it's a lot of people roll their eyes at it, but I truly believe the teams that find a way to get it done are the teams, like you said, that they play for each other, and they have an identity. They understand their role, something that I think Joe Woods failed miserably at, that I think Schwartz will be huge at, is defining roles, right? Like, he sent Perrion Winfrey out there, go play defensive tackle. No, you figure out one thing he's good at, give him a role, and make sure he understands what his job is. And I think that Schwartz will do that much better than Woods did. And I expect a lot better things from this defense.
Yeah, and that's, Winfrey's another one where, okay, maybe if he did have a more defined role and he plays better, his attitude's better. But that's another one where, again, I want to reiterate, and I know I sound like I'm just, a walking conflict right now, but I like Kevin Stefanski. I like Andrew Berry, but that's another one. Perry and Winfrey, we all love that, comical little, I'm a dog and I'm barking down the hallway or whatever the hell he was doing. Dude, if you can't get on the field, I don't care what you say, what your bark sounds like, what you say about your, I was born to be a dog. I don't give a damn. Just be able to get on the field, be a good teammate, and do your job. And he didn't do that. And now, that's where I'm saying, That crap needs to change, and that's where everybody's culpable. Barry knows what he's doing. Stefanski knows what he's doing, but I think we're finding out. These guys are new relative to their age and the actual position. That's not to say they haven't had a ton of experience, but when you're the guy, like now all of a sudden you've got some very crucial decisions to make, and that margin for error is gone. How many games? I'm going to go on a tirade here. How many games last year, Brad, when we talk about, and you mentioned the roles and the little things, this was a team that they would crumble late in games. They'd have stupid penalties. We just took a timeout. Oh, wait, we just got flagged for 12 minutes. I mean, come on. Like, if you're going to great teams, good teams that are consistently good, do not do what they did last year consistently. And that has to change, or we're going to be right back where we were. And, yeah, Deshaun Watson, we all know. I mean, he has to play, but he can play great all he wants. If they play dumb football and they're not playing assignment football, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Division's too tough. The AFC's too tough.
Absolutely right. The AFC is a juggernaut. The division is going to be incredibly difficult, and they can't afford that. I do expect, like, there was a lack of accountability there, obviously, right? And I expect it to fully change with Schwartz. I mean, he's kind of a jerk, but that's kind of what they need, right?
I like that.
He is, but that's what they need in that room, right? Like somebody that's not going to put up with that stuff and create a culture of, this is who we are as a defense. We're going to be in your face. We're going to be like, they need more guys that are on the edge, right? Or bring an edge to that defense. I
but
hate
still
using
not
the
making
S
dumb
word.
mistakes. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, but
Yeah.
that's the fine line between great teams and not so great teams is, you're not going to get 53 choir boys. I'm not asking for I don't want 53 choir boys. But damn it, if you can play on the edge, you can play with your hair on fire and still be here we go, their mantra, tough, smart, accountable. And that needs to be better this year. So
it does, 100%. And that's all the way through. And I think something that Andrew Berry is maybe learning a little bit is, right, like he's always been pretty good at accumulating talent, but it's more than just accumulating talent. It's building a team, right?
And that's everybody.
I think
him, Stefanski, coach. Yep.
The difference, I think. You just not just acquiring talent, but acquiring the right kind of guy that fits your team and what you want to accomplish.
Real quick, let me ask you the Lamar Jackson news. I mean, I'll be honest with you. There, towards the end, I was the one, a month ago going, guys, it's going to get worked out. It'll be fine. And then I was like, I don't know. It works out. Hell, great job. Who says you need an agent? But Baltimore, obviously, any thoughts we had that, man, maybe this is Tyler Huntley, throwing ball. It's going to be Lamar. It's going to be a former MVP. Even if he's not that same guy, he's still really, really good. I mean, that makes this division that much tougher. We know what Cincinnati's going to do. We know Baltimore has that culture that the Browns are trying to get to. Lamar Jackson being a part of it is a very big deal.
Yeah, I mean, could that have broken any more perfectly for them? Like it just sounded like it was going downhill.
Yep.
Like there's teams that might be in the mix after the draft, and it feels like the Odell Beckham, of all things, the Odell Beckham Jr. trade kind of turned things back for them. And ultimately, the NFL got what they wanted out of this somehow, and really, it timed up perfectly for Baltimore, right? Like the Hurts deal sets it up for Lamar to be able to take a similar deal, but a higher, APY than anybody else in the league, but not the guaranteed money, right? Hurts taking the not fully guaranteed contract, and then, Lamar. Following up with the more average per year contract, not fully guaranteed, not what he was asking for the entire time, but also the signing of Odell Beckham Jr. It just worked out perfectly for the Ravens after it looked like it was spiraling out of control like just a week before. It's a shame that everything just breaks perfectly for the Ratbirds. Terrible, awful.
The Ratbirds. I like how he
Yeah.
gets that in there. The Ratbirds.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Brad. Again, Brad Ward joining us. You can follow him. I strongly encourage you to, if you're not already, at Ward on Sports. Contributor for the Orange and Brown Report, host, producer of All Eyes on Cleveland podcast, does a tremendous job. And as I said, grinder. You got to grind. He grinds. And Brad, great work as always. We'll be touching base again as we get closer to camp and whatnot. But always a pleasure talking to you, pal.
Thanks for having me, Chico.
All right, you got it. Again, Brad Ward, good stuff there. Yeah, now I'm kind of boom. I'm a little fired up. You know, I know there's some people that are listening to me and going, man, shut up about this already. But I think it's that important. And I think that the frustrating thing is, it's one thing to be frustrated like we were for years and years with the Browns because they just couldn't accumulate talent. Like, second contract, I mean, foreign concept. What are you kidding me? Second, they couldn't land anybody. You know, Manziel. We already talked about Justin Gilbert, Corey Coleman. It was like, this is ridiculous. But there is a lot of talent on this team. But what the Browns are proving, unfortunately, is you can have all the talent in the world. Now, 2020 worked out, and I'll be the first to say I fell for it, but there is so much more to that team-building thing. And again, in fairness, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are still new at this whole thing. Not in the coaching business, not in the player evaluation business. I know their resumes are spectacular, and these are two very, very bright guys who I think are going, I hope, but I do think they're going to be here for a while, and I think they're both very talented. But now we're starting to find that, yeah, okay, the talent's there, certainly at key positions, and you've got to coach them up. You know, you've got to put them in the right positions. You've got to get the most out of them. You can't have dumb penalties. You can't have guys bickering because, folks, you can roll your eyes all you want. That stuff carries over to games. You just can't have it. And, maybe a week by themselves in West Virginia. And again, that's only because of the extra preseason game, the early preseason game too. That's a big deal. But I think for this team, I love that idea. I mean, fans are going to have an opportunity to see their team. But get away, get to West Virginia, build that camaraderie, and just get on the same page. Last year at this time, it was, noise and more noise about Deshaun Watson. And, well, is this, what do you think about that? It got nauseating. I mean, it's for the longest time, Browns fans wanted to be relevant. But unfortunately, now you want to be relevant because you get a lot of talent. You want to be relevant because you win games, as they did in 2020. But you don't want to be relevant for the crap that they were relevant for last year. Like, if I never say Rusty Harden's name again, I'll be fine. I don't need to, and that was I'm so glad we don't have to deal with that right now this year. And again, it's not a matter of, oh, hey, what he did is fine. No, I don't know exactly what happened. The allegations are horrendous, but as a football team, from a football standpoint, they have moved on. We have moved on. Now, are we going to see a talented team coached up, do the right things, dot your I's and cross your T's, Bohm?
And your lowercase j's.
Oh, I wanted to. And you dot your lowercase j's.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said cross your lowercase.
Well, you said dot and cross, but I meant specifically the dotting.
You got to be more
it.
specific, Bohm. See, that's the attention to detail that the Browns have to have, that we have to have here at the Chico Bormann Show.
Hashtag be better.
I don't know what our hashtag would be. We should let the listeners make up the hashtag, which would be scary. But I think what would our mantra be? What would our hashtag be at the Chico Bormann Show?
Shenaniganize the situation.
You couldn't even get that out without laughing, which is no big surprise to me. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we're going to talk a little NBA. I'm sure it's probably tough watching the NBA playoffs right now for some of you that, you hate LeBron for whatever reason. That's fine. But also, you're looking in the East. Boy, one thing has stood out to me. There's been a few things, but one thing more than anything else has stood out to me in this Knicks Heat series. We're going to touch on that when we come back. I want to hear from you. Come on, people. 216-626-7901. I mean, who the hell is your favorite Chicago PD character? As much as, he gets on my nerves, it has to be Voight, right?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, he drives the
I
show.
like Atwater. I'm a big Atwater.
I love Atwater.
guy.
Yeah, Atwater is great. I'm trying to think now because I like Jay a lot, but there's certain things that, personality-wise don't necessarily vibe, but there's a lot that I appreciate about him.
Yeah. What about Trudy? Trudy's, she's kind of got a cool role on that show because she just kind of, I know there's been a couple episodes where she's the main, but pretty much she just, all right, here's the set. You stand behind this, and we may need you to walk up the stairs once or twice, but other than that, you're good.
The character is great.
Yeah.
She's kind of a bitch.
Yeah. Boom. Listen, just because you think it's a podcast and that we don't have to, I still have strong family values. This is a family show.
It's a role.
Hashtag family show. And you could have said she's a not so nice person.
She's an ass.
You're like the kid that suddenly, he gets around his friends at the age of 12, and they're like, all right, if nobody will tell that that we're swearing, we can all swear. And then you just start dropping. It doesn't even fit. That fits, but
it's okay because she's their ass. They all love her.
You all right, Paul?
I'm chilling.
Everything. We're going to chill for a couple moments ourselves. When we come back, little NBA, the one thing, more than anything, that bothers me when I look at box scores and when I watch the New York Knicks and Miami Heat. We'll talk about that when we come back. Chico Bormann Show, more to come right here on the Big Play Network. All righty, welcome back. Chico Bormann Show on this Tuesday afternoon, broadcasting live from beautiful Burke Lakefront Airport. There's been, I would say this is the most action I've seen since I've been here, Bo. And I think our debut of the show was March 17th. It was St. Patrick's Day. And I would say this is the most action I've seen coming in and out as far as planes. It's been
Really?
Yeah.
I've missed all of it.
Well,
Too
right now,
preoccupied.
right
You
now,
get the prime view.
normally you are you're laser focused. Well, I don't know about laser focused. Normally I feel like if you were to see the planes too, Chicago PD searching for a Kenny Rogers gambler like it would be you'd short circuit, and then we're all screwed. You know that.
A little bit too much multitasking, just a bit, a little over the edge for me.
Yeah. By the way, I got you. You see the presents I got you over there? Little.
Should I show them off?
Yeah, go ahead if you can. Yeah. So
Got
it's,
our little air fresheners. What do they call them?
yeah, they're air fresheners that you hang from the rearview mirror. All right, I'll just full disclosure here. Not that we need to give the advertisement, but that's all right. So I went to get my car washed this morning, bright and early, and as I pulled in. I think the guy was like probably the one to open, and he was running a little bit late and whatever. So he's coming in, and as I'm pulling around, like you scan in and then you go around. Like I see this guy sprinting. I see in my mirror he's sprinting, and he's got a handful of stuff, and he like drops his water, and I just roll down my window. I go, dude, it's okay, man. You don't have to hustle or anything. I'm not gonna. He's like, all right, cool. Sorry, man. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. Because that's the type of guy I am, Bo. Now, if I was in a hurry, but I wasn't. I'm just like, yeah, no big deal. So right before the car wash starts, while he's got me in neutral, after he's done spraying her down, he hands me, like he took a handful of the air fresheners that you hang on your rearview mirror that are like in the shape of trees, and they have different smells. And so I brought those in for you. Now, truth be told, I'm not a fan of putting anything on my rearview mirror. Like, I'm not gonna. I don't want to say it on the air, even if it's like I definitely have air for. I like the little Febreze, things that you stick in the air vent. Those I absolutely got to have. I feel like I remember right after I got my license. I can't remember who it was, but they got me It was like I don't know if it was Ohio State or Browns, but it was like an ornament that kind of like the dice. But I've always thought like those are like I don't know if a girl like I was interested in shows up and like we go out to her car, walk into her car, and she's got dice. I don't know if I could continue. Now, obviously my pickings are very slim, obviously, because of grout outfits and bald head and all that stuff. But I don't like anything. If it's a parking pass, I get it. Anything other than that, like you don't put. I don't need dice. It just looks
Chico.
It looks hillbilly. It looks Steelerish. I don't know.
I was that guy because I had a pair of Ohio State dice.
Of course,
just dangling from the.
Tell me
mirror.
you didn't.
I did, yeah, until they broke. They were hanging until they broke, and I would have kept them hanging, but they broke. They were Ohio State dice, Chico. But now that I think about it, how does that what does that signify? What are the implications of having dice?
Wait a minute. How old were you when you had the Ohio State dice?
I want to say that it was definitely in the last decade. That's for sure. I want to say like within the last 7-ish years. Wow, you so disappointed.
No, I'm not disappointed because nothing surprises me anymore, obviously. No, but if people like it, that's fine. Now somebody's going to be like, "Oh yeah, well you think you're too cool to put." I've never understood the like what is it? What you put dice, or I've seen, I don't know. I'm just not one. Maybe I really am way too conservative. Maybe I need to live on the edge a little more. Maybe I need to quit another plane. Stop yelling at the clouds and screaming about, guys, Wander Franco and Randy Arozarena and, character on the team. Maybe I just need to shut the hell up. What do you think about that, Bohm?
Well, I'm wondering if you don't like the mirror ornaments, what's your stance on having the little bobblehead thingies on a dashboard? You know, those things that are just like grooving like constantly.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone with those, but
they're out there.
It's similar to like Bohm. You know what you would do now? We're going to get back to the NBA here in a second, I promise. But I just, I had to mention the little hood ornament or whatever the hell those things are. So Bohm, like, you will be a guy that around Christmas you'll put antlers on your car. You'll have a big Rudolph red nose, like where the hood ornament would be, like in the front. That would be your car. You'd probably put lights on it, like Christmas lights on it.
Good thing I'm Jewish. Now maybe I could put a menorah on the car.
Oh, man, that was one of your better retorts right there. I forgot. Yeah, I knew that, but I guess I wasn't thinking when I said it. Bring on that Hanukkah. It's time to celebrate. All right. Many of you have been watching, or maybe you haven't. I don't know. I'm curious. Have many of you checked out once the Cavs lost, and lost, unfortunately, very convincingly and in bad fashion? Did many of you check out from watching the NBA playoffs? I've been watching most of them. I've been watching a lot of baseball too, and hopefully the Guardians are going to make it worth my while tonight, because if we have one more game where they score less than 3 runs, I'm going to lose my mind. But I've been watching the playoffs. This Knicks Heat series, so Miami's up 3-1. Not that that's a huge surprise. I mean, Miami, I won't say a huge surprise, mild surprise. I thought when Tyler Herro went out, like that, boy, that's going to be a big, but, you have Eric Spoelstra, who's a pretty damn good coach. You have Jimmy Butler, who normally you think, well, who's Robin to his Batman? Normally you look at all these other teams and you have that with, I mean, I don't know, you go around Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Steph Curry, maybe Klay Thompson. Maybe that's why they're down in the series. Yeah, but Klay was terrible. That's the thing about Klay Thompson. He's way too inconsistent. It's a man's game, Klay. You got to be consistent. It's a man's game, like you told LeBron in 2016. But you go around the NBA, and it's Jamal Murray and Jokic. Phoenix has Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. So I feel like Miami, when Hero went down, I'm like, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. But they've been doing it the way that the Cavs need to do it in the future, and the way I think they will, but it's not going to happen overnight. Like everything we do, whether it's the Browns after 2020, whether it's the Cavs after last year, getting in the play-in and then acquiring Donovan Mitchell, it's like add water, throw it in the microwave, time cook, 2 minutes, start, and all right, where are we? You guys, where are we lining up? Where are we going to party for the finals? Where are we going to watch the finals? Easy. It takes a little while. You gotta nurture. Now, I'm not saying that it can't happen where you stick it in the microwave and all of a sudden you've got your TV dinner, whatever the hell it is. But it takes some time. Boom, you like that one too. Thank you, buddy. You might give me an ego by the time this show's done.
I thought you said Atwater.
Atwater?
Atwater. Throw it in the microwave.
Add water. Oh, my God, Boom. Anyway, these things take time, okay? You've got to the pieces, yes, but then the coaching and then, just and the experience. Like, I mean, yeah, you don't like to say it, and I know some people downplay it. I know even some Cavs fans, oh, well, the experience. What? No, it's a huge deal. You saw in that first series. But one thing we saw against the Knicks, other than offensive rebound after offensive rebound after offensive rebound after offense, would you get a freaking rebound? Was Jalen Brunson, okay. I mean, he scored 32 last night against Miami in the loss, 109-101, and the Knicks are down 3-1 in that series. Julius Randle had 20. R.J. Barrett has been, he's been hot since our series. He had 24. He's had a couple games where he's disappeared. But remember Mitchell Robinson he had 7 boards last night to go along with 6 points. Obi Toppin, remember how Thibodeau's like, yeah, let's put him in. Let's play him for the entire fourth quarter on a whim, because it wasn't like he was doing much during the regular season. There are rumors that he was in Thibodeau's doghouse for a while. So, of course, he goes nuts against the Cavaliers. Josh Hart, one of my favorite players, still is, but what did he do last night? 4 points, 2 rebounds, and fouled out. Like, what do you think Miami did? If you watch, they went at him. I mean, they forced the issue, which is easier said than done, because it's like saying, like we say in football, hey, you know what? Don't make those stupid mistakes. Or if you're the Guardians tonight going up against the Tigers, my God, just be patient, be disciplined, have a good at bat. That's much easier said than done, especially when you're struggling. Now, that said, they got to get in gear, because this is beyond frustrating. But these are not easy things to do, but great teams do them. The Miami Heat, yeah, they lost Tyler Hero, and they still have Jimmy Butler. But you know what else they have? They have Spoelstra. They have a physicality it didn't just happen this year, and they're used to this. They're used to these lights. Cavs were not used to it. So that's why I say, it's far. Now, if who knows? They go through the regular season next year. They have a good regular season. They have another first round and exit in embarrassing fashion. Yeah, you can talk about JB's job on, not now, but you can talk about that. But the experience is huge. But Obi Toppin had 4 points and a rebound. Josh Hart had 4 points and 2 rebounds. Isaiah Hartenstein had 2 points and 3 rebounds. Boom. Those guys were all integral parts of the Knicks dismantling, destroying, embarrassing the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I think you bring up a great point, Chico. What is it about the Heat that makes these players who were just absolutely bullying the Cavs in the paint? How are they specifically? Are they? I mean, you mentioned how they make them so ineffective by taking it to them. Is that something, I guess I'm wondering going forward, that the Cavs can be capable of? And you certainly would love to hope so, but they just didn't. I mean, that series was atrocious.
Well, what was interesting is, and I think it was, I got to give credit to Chris Fedor. He tweeted this out. They were saying with, I think it was in the Lakers-Warriors series, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it? It might have been in the Knicks-Miami series, where they're doing things to bring Mitchell Robinson and the big man out to the perimeter and, set a screen, bring it, and then all of a sudden, you can attack. They didn't do much of that. Now, is that because they didn't have the personnel? Probably a combination of it. But again, that's the experience. But you look at Miami last night, 54-42 won the rebound battle. Cavaliers couldn't even sniff winning a rebound battle against the Knicks. Here's the other thing. 13 offensive rebounds for Miami. Boom, I've never heard it. They had 7 in the fourth quarter alone last night. 7. You're beating the Knicks at their own game. That's how you... And look, yeah, you've got to get tougher. Jared Allen, we keep saying, we joke about, you got to get him at the buffet table and in the weight room and gain some weight. Yeah, Evan Mobley, same thing. These guys are young guys for the most part. But it's not anything you really know until you do it. I mean, you can sit there and say, you know what, just as opposed to taking driving lessons and driving the first few, just watch. Just just sit in the passenger seat and take notes on somebody driving a car. Okay. I mean, you'll probably know all the signs and, all this and all that and four-way stop. Yep, I got to, stop. But until you do it, you're not comfortable doing it. The Cavs are not comfortable. Cavs never were comfortable. And as much as we were surprised when Jared Allen said what he said, like, yeah, you know what? The lights were, admittedly, the lights were a little too bright. We were surprised when Donovan Mitchell just kind of, yeah, you know what? And you appreciate that. You appreciate the accountability, Browns. But at the same time, like, you don't get that until you go and get that. And you can't simulate, okay, well, they played against the Knicks this year and they've done well against them in the regular season. It ain't the same. And if there's one thing we needed to be reminded of, because it had been a while since the Cavs made the postseason, it's that it's an entirely different season. And we saw great Cavaliers in the postseason. We saw teams that, remember when we talked about the defense way back when, and it was like, we always had that, what was that little line about flipping the switch and, oh, yeah, well, the defense isn't real great, but we'll be able to flip. You tried, but you couldn't do it. Postseason's just different. I don't know if, obviously in the NFL, I mean, we're talking about entirely different formats. In the NFL, it's sudden death, it's do or die, whatever you want to say. In baseball, much like in basketball, like, you find weaknesses and you just do not quit exploiting them until those guys adjust. And if they don't adjust, see the Cavaliers, see some of the young Guardians hitters right now who are struggling, and even some veterans, but mostly young guys. If you don't adjust, they just keep coming and coming and coming until you prove that you can. And the Cavaliers just weren't up for that. I mean, we thought they were. I thought they were. I thought it would be a 7-game series, but I thought they weren't. Shame on me for thinking, and I don't mean this in a sarcastic way, but shame on me for thinking the opposite of everything that I'm saying right now. Like, you can't simulate the postseason. Even the Knicks, really, they don't have a ton of experience. For Spoelstra, this is like, I mean, every year, oh yeah, regular season. And there's times that they've struggled, but you get them in the postseason, they know what they're doing. And, that will come for the Cavaliers. Yeah, they also need to have some adjustments. They also need to have some roster tweaks. But you can find experience on the free agent waiver wire and all that sort of thing. But you can't, as a team, you've got to be there, and especially for this young team. So, to me, it's not a difficult watch. I mean, I will say last night was a little frustrating because when they had 7 offensive rebounds in the final period, I'm like, the Cavs couldn't get 7 rebounds in 5 games, offensive rebounds. The Knicks would have 7 rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds, like seemingly in the first 8 minutes. I'm exaggerating, but and here's Miami just beating them at their own game. And those role players, like, yeah, Jalen Brunson, he still had 30. Julius Randle had a nice game, but like those other guys, forget about it. We know who we have to shut down, and everybody else, they're going to have to prove to us that you can beat us. And, this is what you do. And I think this is what a great coach with experience does with an experienced team in the postseason. All right, we're out of time for this Tuesday. Coming up on tomorrow's show, we're talking a little baseball. It's Wednesdays with Booney. Will he agree with me on a Rosarina, or will he tell me, man, Chico, just calm down. You're an old man, a crotchety old man at that. But we'll talk baseball with Booney, and I really hope when we're talking tomorrow with Booney that the Guardians get a win, but you got to do better. I mean, you've got to do better at the plate. 3 or fewer runs in 24 or 22 of the 35 games. Come on, boys. I know it's early, and I know you're still, but somebody's got to get this thing going. Hosey and these younger guys, you got to start making the adjustments. Can't lose to the Tigers again tonight. Michael Lorenzen, not very good. Had a good outing against the Mets, not very good. Let's do it. So anyway, there's your pep talk. I'm sure the Guardians are listening right now. Boom, you all right? You look very out of it right now.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, very much. Like,
Yeah, you know.
you kind of look like how Burgess does every show. But Burgess, she has a sex appeal to her, too. All right, we're out of time. Chicago PD kind of ruled the roost.
I enjoyed the Chicago PD conversation today, Chico.
Did anybody else enjoy the Chicago
Yeah,
PD?
we got a comment on it. Our guest, Brad Ward, enjoyed it. Atwater.
What do you got? What are we sitting around for? I mean, guys, grab the street footage, grab the street cameras, knock on some doors. Let's go. I mean, let's boots on the ground. What are we doing? Hank, been doing this for 12 years. Would you shut up and go smoke some Marlboro Reds? All right. Anyway, with that, we end the program on this Tuesday. Boom. Great job as always, as far as you know. Thanks to Brad Ward for joining us from the Orange and Brown Report. And most of all, thanks to you, our great viewers, listeners, etc. We'll be back with you again tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It is the Chico Bormann Show, and it's all right here at the Big Play Network. We'll see you tomorrow.